I'm Kirsten Wilson.
And I'm Christian Haynes. Join us as we explore and embrace the challenges of digital learning. This is Living in Beta Mode. Welcome to the very first podcast episode of Living in Beta Mode. This podcast content is developed by the Digital Learning Unit team and recorded in the DESE Podcast Studios of Donnie Lee. Podcast hosts are myself, Christian Haynes, and the DESE State Coordinator of Digital Learning, Kirsten Wilson. Today, I'm going to be chatting with Kirsten about what exactly is living in beta mode. Kirsten, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience and tell us a little bit about why we are doing a podcast?
Absolutely. Thanks, Christian. For me, doing a podcast was an opportunity for us as the DL unit to find another way to share information and ideas about digital learning. We know that as learners, we have preferred ways of assimilating information and learning. Some like to read a book, others like to listen to audiobooks. Others like to read a transcript of a video, while others just like to listen. I've discovered that the more ways we offer information, the more ways we get learning out there. Sharing is caring, after all. Also, as I learn more about myself as a learner and my preference for learning, depending on where I am, what I am doing, and my needs, my preferences will change. Being able to do this podcast is one more way for the Digital Learning Unit to share information, learn together, and support educators. It's also a way for us to share our own stories of learning, our mistakes, and our celebrations. And it's a way for us to have connection. Brené Brown said it best when she said, "Connection is why we're here. We're hardwired to connect with others. It's what gives purpose and meaning to our lives, and without it, there is suffering." And honestly, who wants to suffer, right? So let's start connecting.
What does living in beta mode mean?
Well, according to blogger Lewis Chu from the post titled Introducing Beta Mode, published through Medium, beta is a phase where we are incomplete, with errors and mistakes being made. It is also a phase where there is rapid learning and experimentation. So being in beta mode is focusing on progress and not perfection. It is the center of innovation.
What does this mean in regard to the Digital Learning Unit?
Well, when I first came on as State Coordinator of Digital Learning, looking at where Digital Learning Unit was, formerly Team Digital, and where we are now, I realized that we are in a constant state of flux. Recognizing that and naming it and stepping away from the need to be perfect, but leading from a place of rapid learning and experimentation helped us as the Digital Learning Unit to shift our mindset as a team. By recognizing that to be effective with digital learning and support the educators in Arkansas, we have had to change our approach. It's not that what we were doing wasn't done well. It was the idea that we are in an ever-changing landscape in the digital world, and embracing the idea of living in beta mode was necessary for us to continue to remain relevant for educators across the state of Arkansas.
How do we live out living in beta mode both professionally and personally?
I say embrace the messy and the try, not working from a place that is completely mapped out and planned out. As we learn more about the uniqueness of each of our learners and those around us, we know that to address the needs of our learners and our colleagues, we need to first build relationships and then maximize those relationships to do the important work of learning together. It's important in this work that we operate from the idea of and intentional practice of collaboration. No one person has all the information. We are all better, and our students get better when we collaborate.
Why is living in beta mode an important piece of digital learning?
Well, with the use of small group instruction, individually tracking the progress of each student, accommodating the learning needs and preferences of students, both for our 504 IEP kiddos and the unidentified needs of students, it is about the monitor and adjusting with fidelity. This management piece, while it can be done from an analog or pencil paper approach, in all reality, there isn't enough time in the day to do it efficiently if there isn't some use of digital means. Being able to leverage digital resources not only will make the world better for our teachers, but it models for our students how digital literacy is for every part of our lives. Even more so, tying in digital resources for students to learn not only impacts their academics, but also provides the opportunity to fortify their media literacy, and digital citizenship skills. I'm not saying that we have to do everything digitally. To be honest, I still write out my to-do list and I keep a paper calendar. But what I do with digital resources allows me to function in the most optimum way that I can. Our teachers and students should have every opportunity to function easily with digital resources to positively impact their own lives and well-being.
What are some key things you want people to know?
Digital learning is not in addition to learning happening in the learning environment. It is part of the learning as a whole. Digital learning skills are a must for today's learners, and learning can happen in an online or face-to-face environment. Digital learning is not just relegated to online learning. When we went into the pandemic with emergency remote teaching, we did the best we could in that moment. We were in survival mode, but now we know so much more. We took that beta experience and we learned from it, and learning from it is important. For me, that can be summed up in the quote by Maya Angelou: "Do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better." Also, digital learning from a historical perspective is a new approach to instruction. Rather, we have only been doing it for about 20 years. It's in its infancy. Face-to-face has been happening for thousands of years. With face-to-face, we have tried things, made mistakes, learned from our mistakes, and moved forward. It required us to have grace, continuous improvement, and a willingness to collaborate. The same is true with digital learning. Digital learning must involve the learner actively engaging in meaningful learning experiences. As educators, that requires us to be facilitators, guiding students as they find, filter, formulate, and function in the digital world as an integrated part of their lives, both academically and socially. The navigation of the digital learning landscape can be challenging. As I said before, it's meant to be in collaboration with others. Your professional learning communities are a perfect place to flesh out your beta mode moments. Creating a culture that is beta mode friendly is critical to digital learning experimentation. Just like we create safe spaces for our students to take risk, teachers should also have a safe place and space for taking risk. We cannot adequately support risk-taking in our students if we are not supporting risk-taking with our fellow colleagues. This is also where the digital learning unit comes into play. We are here for every educator to bounce off ideas, to support your teams and professional learning communities, to co-teach as you experiment with the integration of technology, to support you as you support your students becoming media literate, digitally literate, digital citizens. We are excited to support educators as we are living in beta mode. Whatever you do, wherever you go, remember to embrace life and know that all of us are living in beta mode.
Thank you, Kirsten. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed this chat as much as we did. In our upcoming episodes, we are going to go deeper with the concept of living in beta mode in regard to the overall tie to digital learning. The upcoming podcast, Season 1 episodes are as follows: being flexible, elephant theory, teaching from mistakes, assessing in the moment, mindset of innovation, origin of ideas, determination, resilience, and grit, and finally, engaging learners. Wait a minute. Does the letter of each episode title spell out an acronym, beta mode?
You got that right, Kirsten. There's always intention and purpose here at the Digital Learning Unit, and our podcast is no different.
Before we go, what are some other things that are going on with the DLU?
I'm so glad you asked. On the third Thursday of every month, we have what is called Deal Days. DEAL stands for Drop Everything and Learn. From 11:30 to noon, we have a session where we focus on a tool or a way to support an aspect of digital learning. Past episodes include tips and tricks with social media and tips and tricks of using Pear Deck. Our next Deal Day, on March 17th, we are focusing on Nearpod. You can go to our new website on the DESE website in the Research and Technology Division section and find information regarding this under Professional Development. There is a registration link there. You can also find our previous Deal Day recordings on that page and on our YouTube channel.
If you're interested in our support, reach out to us via email through contactus@ardlu.org.
Thanks for listening. I'm Kirsten Wilson.
And I'm Cristian Haynes.
Be sure to subscribe to our podcast on Spreaker, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast catcher.
You can also find us by going to the DESE website and searching DESE Podcasts. Other DESE podcasts we recommend are Smack Talk, Guide for Life, Aware, and 21st CCLC. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also follow us on Twitter or Facebook at DigitalEdAR. Thank you for listening to the DESE Digital Learning Unit's first episode of Living in Beta Mode. You can catch our next episode, Being Flexible, set to be released next week on February 28th. After that, our podcast will be released every other week on Tuesdays. Thanks again.